Welcome back to the channel. Well, it's an exciting day here at the ranch or whatever. Anyways, so as I alluded to in a previous video, my buddy Nathan wants me to come over and plant some corn with my, well, not quite new to me, you know what I'm getting at, because I have two Oliver corn planters. I was just going through it. I put that chain back on that drive real quick. Nathan hasn't told me which population he wants, but we'll have to change that on the drive gear. Not a big deal. And I got to change plates, but he wasn't positive, but he's pretty sure he has small rounds, or at least round seed. So, and I have a plate for that. But anyways, I wanted to try this out, and I forgot to turn the camera on, or even so. I am gonna do it. You want to hop out in there and just go first gear, go a little ways. Which I already did this, but for your guys' benefit. So I want to make sure everything is turning. Every seed unit, the drive chain here is turning. Whenever you're ready. Awesome. Yep. So we will, when we get to the field here, I'll show you everything else. I gotta do some cleaning here. Some leftover auction items. So yeah, we'll get these cleaned up. All right, I'm gonna take the drone along. So we'll do some drone footage too. Awesome. I'm kind of excited about using that's my toy. So stand by. If you're new to the channel, you're in a special treat. If you know anything about the Minneapolis Moline and Oliver heritage, this is an Oliver 2055. Very, very hard to come by. Very hard to come by. So this tractor's been on my channel a few times. I hauled a home for him. I helped get it running. I put a new clutch in it. He's gonna put fender. It had a cab on it. Gonna put the fenders back on. But they're pretty proud of this tractor. 2055. Exactly the same as a G950. Sorry, G1050 Moline, Minneapolis Moline. So, yep, rare bird. 1750. That was their grandfather's. Bought it brand new, I believe. Pretty cool. 1066 for you red fellers. Great tractor. Lots of them around. Yep, that's the ones. Okay, well, we're using flat seed. At 32,000. Can almost read that one. Not quite. You got this one changed already? Yeah. Okay, let's put it in the correct way this time. Oh, that's so much easier. Charge out. Oh, we didn't take that out, did we? Okay, corn is in. Now I'll look at my fingers. No, I won't. No, I won't. But yes, I'm excited about playing with my toys. All right, we're not going too far down the road here. We're going over there to over there. Okay, well, that's better and owner approved, I guess. A little bit thick there, but interesting. Okay, so you know this technology is way before before my time and Nathan's time. But anyways, we're getting her set up. Going about 1.5 inches deep, and I was always taught spacing should be about, you know, that far, and we're real close. Oh, where'd it go? One right there and one right there. So this row looks pretty good. What are you thinking there? Got a double there, but yeah. So we're there. We're a little bit close there, but yeah, this is definitely not a precision planner. And the monitor is the guy at the end. So. Yep, right there. That was a little bit far. Is there one in the middle?
No.
Okay.
Might have hit a ball. Right there, so they're about perfect.
Okay. Yep. Well, it's your corn, so.
Well, it's in sand. It's going to be a little, as long as we're in moisture.
Yeah, right.
This outside row is not going to be correct anyhow, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's run with
I just wanted to measure from center to that edge if I'm supposed to be the center of the tractor. You know what I'm saying? I believe it is. Oh, yeah, it's about 10 feet. So that means that need is on here, but
should I let him and take it over here?
Maybe. You gotta carry it back. Thing. Loosen that up. I don't know if it will. just want to check, make sure my chains are all on still. A 1. Yep, that one's still on, that one's still on, and that one's still on. Sweet. Lots of corn left. I don't know, this is fun. This is fun. See if I can get you somewhere else to ride here. You alright? You fell down there. Sorry. Chains are all on? Yes, sir. Alright. Okay, well, made her back home. I want to thank Nathan, my buddy Nathan at Bruce Farms Incorporated. They have a YouTube channel. They don't post a whole lot of videos, but you know, they do a lot of, you know, Oliver related or homestead kind of stuff. Kind of neat if you want to check them out. But I really do appreciate your time, or your field and your seed, you know, kind of testing out my planter. You know, it was his idea, but I really enjoyed my time doing that. So we're gonna plant some corn back here, not today, but anyways, so I'm gonna say this Oliver 543 planter definitely was worth buying. Boy, the guy that had it for me, he had everything all greased up. You know, I assume a guy, but there's grease everywhere on this thing, so it was well taken care of. You know, if you want to call it, the only issue we had, one of the fertilizer openers, you know, fell off. Luckily I caught it, didn't lose anything. I have all the pieces, so that was the only minor snafu. So yeah, I'm very happy with this. You know, the only other problem I had was I thought the fuel gauge worked on this tractor, but just got going down the road and hard to spit and sputter, and one of them ain't got no gas in it times. So in the M670, not its fault, that one's on me. So all right, well, that was great. Hopefully the drone footage turns out as good as Jake thought it was. Thank you, Jacob, for running the drone for me while I was planting. I was trying to keep the rows straight, you know, because there's some old timers. They're gonna look at them rows and go, crooked rows, you know. Were you drinking, all that kind of stuff. You know how they always give you a hard time. You know, my dad was he wasn't always known for, well, a lot of times he didn't even use the markers. I don't know how he ever did that, but you know, the rows weren't all that straight, and he says, you know, there's more seeds in a crooked row than in a straight row. So hey, whatever. So we'll check on that, and hopefully, you know, a week or two or whatever it takes, depends on the weather, when that stuff comes up, we'll walk over there and then video it and see how good the planter actually did. Basically what I did was I just ran one bag through, and then I let Nathan take over with his planter. You know, being that's his ground, his seed, his money invested. The only thing I had invested was time and, you know, gasoline, and that's I really appreciate it. So all right, well, I think that's enough for this video. Looks like our grass is getting tall enough to mow, so I'll have to get on the boy Nicholas here. He's in charge of mowing lawn around here, so we'll let him do that, and I'm gonna get on to the next project for the day. Hey, appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one.